My name is Mark Shapiro, and I am a 36-year-old man, and I am on a quest for love. My mission, my goal is to find an incredible woman, an amazing life partner to adventure with, and to ultimately build a beautiful family with. And because I've never dedicated an episode just to talking about my love life in the 189 episodes of the show, this is 190, I decided to get a little uncomfortable and just dedicate this episode just to sharing with you my vision for love, the challenges being a single man at 36. I've gone on over 100 first dates in the last 6 years, so I'm going to share with you how that experience has been, as well as a couple things that I am really embarrassed about. I'm going to share with you 3 of my biggest challenges dating and in my quest to find love. I'm also going to share with you how I think I'll know when I find my person, the criteria for knowing, and then I'll also just share with you where I'm at right now and just the most valuable lessons that I've learned. I'm a firm believer that we are all worthy of the love that we seek in this world, that we won't have to settle for it. So I just hope that you find this to be interesting and entertaining perhaps, and maybe even relatable or valuable. My role models for love are my parents and my grandparents. My parents were married for over 40 years until my dad passed away from Alzheimer's 2 years ago, and they just had an absolutely beautiful relationship. And even when my dad was sick, living in a full-time care facility, my mom went and visited him every single day. I also have incredible grandparents who have been together forever. They're high school sweethearts. My grandpa Al is 90, my grandma Jean is 89, and me, my siblings, and cousins absolutely idolize them and their relationship. They're still madly in love, incredible partners. So those were my role models growing up. And as a young kid, I always wanted to find my one. I always wanted love. So when I was in middle school and high school, while my friends were just looking to hook up and maybe make out or have a fun kiss at a party, I was always wondering, could this girl be my queen? Could she be my one? So you can imagine how much pressure that put on the girls that I was interested in, because I probably looked at them with the widest eyes, like, what if? So serious and so intense. Anyway, I had my first kiss when I was 15 years old at Herzl Camp. I had my first girlfriend, which at 16, when I was in 9th grade, we were together for 4 months, and I told her I loved her. I lost my virginity at age 19, which at the time, I thought that was very late. I think probably because I grew up watching movies like Porky's and American Pie, so I definitely it was something that I always wanted and was excited about. So 19 is when I lost my virginity, and that's also the year I was auditioning for an a cappella group, coincidentally called Oral Pleasure, at Emory University in Atlanta, and I met an absolutely amazing woman. I saw her from across the room, and I was instantly in awe. We both got accepted into the a cappella group. I drove her home from rehearsal one night. We talked for hours, and needless to say, we were together for 11 years. 7 years into that relationship, when I was 26, we got married. We had a beautiful partnership, a beautiful relationship, and ultimately, about a year after we got married, there started to be some trouble in paradise. And when we were celebrating our 11th anniversary, back in 2012, November 19th, 2012, we're celebrating our 11th anniversary. It's about 2 weeks before we were going to move into our dream home, which is the home that I'm sitting in right here. She said to me that she didn't identify with being a married woman and that she needed to go off on her own authentic journey. Now, I've shared that before on this podcast, but what I haven't shared, because I want to be very respectful of my ex-wife, is that she is a lesbian. It's something that she didn't know when we first met. I was really at odds It wasn't the way my story was supposed to go, at least according to me. I never in a million years thought that divorce was something that would be a possibility for me. And I was madly in love, even when there was some trouble in paradise. And I just figured that she'd turn to me one day and be like, I want to have a family with you. Ultimately, that's not what her authentic truth was, which is why we split up. And it was very, very challenging for me. I really didn't know which direction was up. I really identified as a couple. I didn't really have that much of my own identity at the time. I was working in corporate America, and then I'd come home and I'd spend the time with my ex, and I really thought that I had it all. So here I am at 31 years old. I am single for the first time in 11 years. All I want is love. All I want is a family, and I'm really at a loss of how to get it. I don't feel that great about myself. So what do? I start dating immediately. And as someone who is an open book, and when I was meeting people out on dates, I was very quick to share that I was just out of an 11-year relationship. And then the woman would ask me, oh, how long ago did it end? And I'd be like, oh, it ended 2 months ago. And clearly that was not attractive, not a turn on. I was clearly not ready, also desperate, also trying to prove myself on dates, trying to look good, trying to be liked. And it was not a formula for success. Now, I really wanted to find a new relationship after that relationship ended. And I wanted to make sure that I was putting myself out there in order to call in this absolutely amazing woman, this new partner. So I found that there were 4 different ways that I could potentially meet her. 1, perhaps she's someone that I already know. The second is online dating. It was right around the time Tinder was starting. At that time, it was mostly like OkCupid, and like for me, because I'm Jewish, JDate, I used that site. I think I went on Match for a second, but didn't like it. But you get what I'm saying. The third is setups from friends or family. And then the fourth is women that I just meet. Fourth is just women that I meet out and about in public. Cut to, it's about 6 months after the divorce, and I'm going through a really tough time. I'm doing my best to distract myself, finding solace, losing myself in work, which was valuable, but still not that happy, sad, lonely. And so I signed up for an emotional intelligence workshop. It was a 5-day workshop, and I came out of it super duper empowered. So I kept signing up for more and more of these workshops. Well, in one of these workshops, it was all about goal setting. And the facilitator of the workshop encouraged everyone to get really crystal clear on what their goals were. The prompt was to write out your vision. For this case, for me, was writing out the vision for my dream girl, and then to share it with as many people as possible. Because the idea behind it is the more people that know what your vision is, the more people that can potentially help you out and connect the dots to turn your vision into a reality. So I wrote this letter and I sent it to people. So I'm going to read to you this exact letter. I wrote it in, I believe it was the fall of 2013. So, dear friend, here is my vision for my dream girl. My intention is to connect with her this month and be in a committed relationship by December 31st, 2013 at 11:59 p.m. I'm committed to creating a loving relationship with a woman who's beautifully giving, joyful, free-spirited, fun, confident, easygoing, open-minded, grounded, secure, responsible, and takes a stand for what she believes. She shares my love for inspiring and supporting others, wants to settle down and start a family, and create a sustainable relationship built on mutual love, respect, trust, physical and emotional intimacy, sensuality, and passion. She is between 24 and 33, 5'1" and 5'8", a beautiful, sexy brunette with a petite body, Jewish, willing to convert and or willing to raise kids Jewish, loves the arts, adventure, friends, family, music, and daily dance parties. Bonus points if she can carry a tune. In terms of communication, she is transparent, straightforward, vulnerable, understanding, and open with her feelings. Do you happen to know her? If so, I'd love an introduction. So that was the letter, and I think I sent it to about 10 people, and I don't believe that I got set up on any dates as a result of that, but the responses were very interesting. A few people reached out to me and said, that's so cool that you're so clear in what you want, and that you sent it to me. You're definitely worthy of finding this person. Other people would write back and sarcastically say, that's it? That's all you're looking for? But that was my vision, and that was actually my vision for about 3 years. And when I'd go out on dates, I'd kind of go back and I'd look at the person that I was on the date with and kind of compare them to the criteria, but it was really more of like a checking off the boxes. So one thing that I am embarrassed to admit is I had a spreadsheet. I had a spreadsheet that I was tracking the number of dates that I went on, as well as how I met these people. So I could really be clear as to which of those 4 means of meeting people, whether it is people I already know, on online apps and dating sites, getting set up, or people I met in person. I wanted to know which had the best success rate. So I am going to open up this document and share with you what those stats were. So this is very embarrassing. Just as a caveat, I stopped utilizing this document back in January 2015. So nearly 4 years ago is the last time I used this document. And at that point, I'd gone on 67 first dates. So out of all the dates I went on, it looks like I went on 8 dates with women that I already knew, and none of those really amounted to anything worthwhile or notable outside of just maybe rekindling a friendship. 51% of those 60 plus dates were online dates. There were about a handful of setups, so that was probably the smallest chunk. But setups were pretty good because there was like a built-in trust or credibility based on the people that introduced us. So I found that those connections were pretty solid. And then I believe that I went out on 18 dates of the 60 or so with women that I just met out and about as I was just living my everyday life. Instantly, I knew if we had chemistry, if there was a good vibe, and those ended up leading to more dates versus online dates were definitely the worst. Out of those 60 or so, very few went to second dates, even less went to third dates, etc. Dating apps. So I quickly just want to share what the dating apps that I like the least, as well as the dating apps that I found to be the best for me. So my least favorite dating apps by far and away are Bumble and Tinder. And the reason why those are my least favorite dating apps is I found myself spending the most time on them. They both kind of have a swiping type mechanism and essentially an endless well of people to swipe through. So I would swipe, sometimes maybe even for an hour a day. And not only did those dating apps lead to the least amount of dates, but it was just like the least success overall. I specifically have some beef with Bumble, if anyone is on the Bumble team here. Specific beef with Bumble because I find that I'd see people in the rotation that I knew who'd been in a relationship for 8 months or so, and I would tell them that I saw them on Bumble and they'd be irate because they hadn't signed into Bumble since 8 months ago when they were in a relationship, which basically told me that Bumble kept people in their rotation that hadn't been on the app in several months. So here I am, like swiping away, taking valuable time from my life, swiping at people who haven't been on the app for months. And I don't think that's cool. So Bumble, if you're listening, if you haven't changed your strategy, like keep it to like people who've been on the app in the last couple of months at least, so you're not specifically wasting people's time. Believe it or not, I didn't get a lot of matches on the apps. And so for the amount of time I invested in being on them, the reward wasn't really that great. Met some cool people that I'm friends with, but not a huge success. In terms of the app that I think is the best is Hinge. I think Hinge does they have a nice way of making it really easy to start conversations with people. And that's probably been the one where I've met the coolest people on, gone on the most dates on. So if you are single, I recommend checking out Hinge and perhaps staying away from Bumble, even though my friends Ruben and Z met on Bumble and got married in Greece this last weekend. So what I've noticed to be the 3 biggest challenges that I have faced in dating. Number 1 is having such a specific vision of what I want and perhaps being too picky, as well as being intense and scaring people off. Number 2 is the paradox of choice. There's when you're like going through the app and you're talking to multiple people, perhaps at the same time, you might not be giving someone a truly fair chance. I mean, think about it. If you're sitting at home trying to pick a movie on Netflix, sometimes it's impossible to actually pick a movie because there's so many options. So I find that to be a good metaphor for dating in this modern age as well. Is just there's always going to be someone around the corner, another swipe away. So oftentimes, I found myself maybe not giving someone, 3 or 4 dates to see if perhaps maybe we just needed some time to create that connection. But I kind of believe that in today's day and age, at least in my experience dating in LA, a lot of the times it's one and done. If you get a date, there's either magic right away or on to the next. The third challenge is wanting to meet someone that's really kind of where I'm at. When I'll be dating someone or when I'll be excited about someone, that I will kind of project that they fit into this fantasy of what I'm looking for. Essentially that long list of things that I'm saying, oh, that person could be this person. Or maybe 20% of the time we're super dialed in and connected and I think that they could be the one, and 80% of the time they're not. So I hope that they'll become this person that I really want them to be, but I've learned that you can't change someone. And that the person who you're dating, the person in your life, they're who they are, the person that is right in front of you right now. And that's something that definitely I got lost in and has been a challenge for me in dating. All right, so how has dating affected me and my happiness? And I've got this good friend here who knew, I guess, I was going to talk about her right now, and that is Gertie. If you're listening to the podcast, you can't hear, but I have this beautiful 7-pound Havanese. She's 10. And Gertie, my ex-wife and I got Gertie when she was just a puppy. And when we got divorced, we agreed to share custody of Gertie. And every other month, Gertie would be with me, and then she'd be with my ex the other month. Well, after 2 years of sharing custody of Gertie, as well as 2 years of being single and struggling to find love, I found that I really needed to kind of cut the cord with my ex-wife. So I made the really tough choice to give up custody of Gertie. She's here right now because my ex and I, we have a cordial relationship, and she's out of town. So I get to babysit Gertie when she's out of town. But it was a really tough decision. I'm an extremely loyal person and I love my dog, but I was really willing to do whatever it takes in order to grow, in order to create space, to move on from that 11-year relationship so I could create space for a beautiful new relationship. But it's obviously something that I thought about a lot. My happiness also tied to my love life and how it was going, and whether there was one woman that I was really excited about, or potentially, many prospective women that I was talking to. There were maybe one of them could be the one, but time after time, nope. And just the amount of first dates that I went on just kind of kept on increasing. So 2 years ago, it was probably about June of 2016. Didn't have any dates lined up. It was a Saturday night. Didn't have any social plans. I was kind of feeling a little sorry for myself. I was sitting at home on a Saturday night wishing I was somewhere else. And I decided to watch a movie. So I picked Pitch Perfect 2. I'm a big a cappella geek, and I enjoyed Pitch Perfect 1. So I decided to watch Pitch Perfect 2, which, any straight man probably does when they're sitting at home on a Saturday night all by themselves. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm feeling really sorry about myself about halfway through, and I push pause. And I grab a journal, I open it up, and I write down this question at the top of the page. How will I know when she arrives? How will I know? So up until this point, I was going off of that letter that I read you earlier that had that long list of characteristics that I was looking for. But what I found is that some women would meet some of the characteristics, but not all of them. So I was just kind of checking these boxes and then kind of not knowing what to prioritize. Now at the same time, I also really trusted my intuition. And there were times when I got this strong hit of intuition that a particular woman that I was dating could potentially be the one. Later to find out, not the one, not a good fit, maybe it's not the right time, definitely not the right one, etc. So I wanted to know how I would know if this woman was in my presence. So I wrote down the first thing, which was that I love listening to her. I feel really alive and present. We have a fun time together. And this to me, I thought was a valuable one because I know for me personally, and you can probably relate, just some people in our lives, we have an easier time listening to and being present with than other people where maybe our mind starts to wander. So I thought to myself, okay, yeah, that's a good one. If I'm really engaged and really present with her, that means I'm really interested in her. The second thing I wrote down was that we have a really nice flowing balance between us. I definitely want to be in a relationship that feels very, very 50-50, that we're both really supporting each other, and it's not just one of us carrying all the weight in the relationship. The third thing I wrote down was a strong primal attraction. Maybe that's important to you, maybe it's not. For me, it is. I want to be really attracted to their smell and I want to jump their bones. Number 4 is the same macro vision. We want to live the same kind of lifestyle. Want to have a family, want to have kids, maybe want to travel a little bit, or, on the flip side, maybe there's someone who doesn't want to have a family or wants to move around every couple of years. So that to me is a really big one, having the same macro vision, wanting some of the same bigger things in life. The fifth thing I wrote down is that I really respect her and admire her as a person. And I think a lot of the time when we're looking for love, we're thinking a lot about ourselves and what this person does for me and what our relationship is like versus what do I feel about this person as an independent human being. So I really am committed to finding someone that I really respect and admire and that she actually inspires me to be a better person. And then the sixth thing I wrote down is that we really see and get each other on a deep emotional level. There's great intimacy, we feel really connected, and I feel really safe in her company. She feels really safe in my company. So those were the 6 things that I wrote down. And I think that these are really valuable, whether you are looking for love or perhaps are in a relationship. Maybe you can kind of zoom in and look at these 6 to assess your relationship. Here are kind of been some of the results of being single for the last 6 years. So I've now gone out with definitely over 100 women, which is crazy. I've been ghosted on people. I have had very fun times. I've made some friends through dating. I've dated sisters. I've sent personalized videos to anyone who I've dated who became a Facebook friend. I sent them a personalized video on their birthday. I've had a 4-month relationship. I've had a 6-month relationship. I've had some kind of casual relationships that haven't gotten exclusive, that have lasted a few months. And I had my first ever one-night stand last summer, which was something that I never thought I was capable of doing. And it's not something that I've made a habit of. I've only had one, but it was fun. It was fun. It was funny. And if you were to ask for critical feedback from anyone that I've dated for a more extended amount of time, my guess is they would tell you that I have a lot of love to give. And they'd probably also tell you that I'm a little bit needy, as well as that I'm obsessed with work and perhaps a bit obsessed with myself, and sometimes have a challenge being present because I'm thinking about my work or some sort of professional endeavor. Where am I at right now? Am I ready even to call in this dream woman into my life? That's a really hard question to answer. I have felt ready every single step of the way. I still haven't found my person, and sometimes I wonder, has it just not been my time yet? And I'm kind of grateful in a way that I didn't find maybe the wrong person when I first started dating after the divorce 6 years ago, because I'm definitely an entirely different person today than I was back then. That was before the podcast, it was before the self-development, it was before really owning who I am and the life that I want to lead, taking a lot of risks. And when I go out on dates now, I'm more selective in terms of who I go out with. Like I really only go out with people that I'm really, really excited about. But I also am not tied to every single date that I'm going on, being either we're never going to see each other again, or it's going to go the distance, or it has even a chance to go the distance. My good friend, Jeff Scalt, a little over a year ago, invited me to practice what he calls passionate ambivalence. So passionate ambivalence to me means being super fiery and fun and playful and alive when I'm with someone on a date, and at the same time, not being attached to the result of what happens or where the relationship is going to go. So really allowing me to have fun and to be present. And it's really, really worked for me. And I feel like the right person is going to want to come along for the ride with me. So I don't feel the need to force it. I don't feel the need for it to happen tomorrow. People often ask me if it was easier for me because my wife left me for women and not another man. And the answer is no, it wasn't any easier. For me, the breakup represented, a shattering of a dream in my life, in my reality. And while I obviously want my ex, I want her to live a beautiful, authentic life, for her to have everything that she wants in her life. But when we first got divorced, I could really only see it from my own perspective. And it was just so hard to believe that this person that I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life didn't want to be with me. Now, I know it wasn't necessarily personal and niche. She didn't want to be with any man. She wanted to be with women. But I wasn't really able to see that. Or if I could see that, I could only intellectualize it. It didn't really resonate with me on a deep level. What I felt was that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't worthy, or that I wasn't good enough to achieve love. So if I'm going to be entirely real with you, I'm so excited, and I do feel worthy of this great love that I desire. And I'm also terrified. I'm terrified that the same thing is going to happen to me again. Not necessarily that my wife would leave me for women, but that I'd do my best, and my best still wouldn't be good enough. And that she'd leave me because she was bored, or there's something else that was more exciting. And, I guess putting yourself out there, opening up your heart and dating, anything is possible. I mean, I've definitely learned that anything is possible. But I'm willing to put myself out there anyways and trust that the growth that I've had in myself, will put myself in the position not to repeat patterns from the past. I'm excited to meet my amazing queen whenever the time is right, and I'm going to enjoy every second in the interim. So that wraps up this episode. I'm glad it's over. Whether you're in a committed relationship or not, I hope that it was valuable in terms of connecting you to what's most important to you in your relationship. I think there's always, an opportunity to work on ourselves and to work on relationships. So I hope it was valuable in some kind of way. Or if you're single, I hope that it was more clearly, valuable for you in terms of giving you clear takeaways that might serve you. Perhaps just make you, not feel as alone in this process. But that wraps up this episode. If you enjoyed it, share it with any kind of friends that you think would benefit and enjoy it as well. Signing off, I'm Mark Shapiro, sending you nothing but love and good vibes for this week ahead. And we'll see you back here with another episode of Are You Being Real?